In single player level design, you don't have to worry about timing, balance, or choke points as you would in multiplayer level design. However, you have a whole other set of rules you have to follow. There are two things you have to do prior to creating a level design for a single player third-person action adventure game. Number one is know your game and its story. And number two, create a naming standard for combat areas, then stick to them. Now, first step, of course, is you have to know your game and follow its story. This is essential. Each level has to fulfill a specific plot point or a story beat. Each level has to take place at a specific location, and the player will be moving the story forward, progressing through the level. There has to be a constant push for progression. Now, sometimes the player may circle around, come back to a previous area, but overall the player will always be going to a new area, leaving the previous area, and seeing the story unfold. And the second one, and this is the one we're going to focus on, is creating a naming standard for combat areas. Each name describes a combat area that the player will have to deal with as they go through your game. Many other games have this naming standard convention. For example, Left 4 Dead series use this extensively to design their levels, and they have a specific naming convention that they used in order to help the level designer have a same vision when they were designing a specific part of the combat area of the level. Crytek did the same thing with Crysis, and they had a standard naming convention that they used to help designers to have the same vision as they were designing each part of the combat area of each level. So coming up with these naming conventions will help you to bring clarity and what to implement for each part of the level's combat area, so this way you are consistent at creating similar experience throughout your game or throughout parts of your level. And this is especially important when you are working on a team so everyone is on the same page. And Alan Wake is a great example of this, especially if you are creating a third-person action-adventure narrative-focused level. As I was playing the game, I began to notice recurrent patterns of combat scenarios. I couldn't find the naming standard used by Remedy games, so I came up with the names on my own. So this is in no way reflects the name Remedy actually might have used. It's just something that I began to see a pattern of. And in Alan Wake, there are 6 combat areas that I saw and that you will encounter that I used over and over again throughout the game. These 6 are Run and Gun, Gateway Boss, Assaults, Survive and Thrive, VIPs, and Vehicle Manslaughter. And in this tutorial, we're going to break each of these down, what they mean, so then you can use these combat scenarios and combat naming convention in your own level designs and start thinking more deliberately about your combat scenarios. So let's get into it. So if you enjoyed the content that I've been putting out over the last decade, including this video, please consider supporting WoLD level design by visiting and downloading any of the premium tutorials that I've been putting out, as well as you can also make a donation to help me continue making these tutorials. The first combat area is Run and Gun. Run and Gun is the most common combat scenario where one or more enemies spawn. You can fight them or you can run to avoid them. Most of these scenarios are scripted as you enter into a specific area of the level, or they are triggered by a button press. Run and Gun is something you use throughout all your levels as the most frequent combat setup, and that's what Alan Wake does. The second combat area is Gateway Boss. Gateway Boss is one or more enemies who bust through a closed barrier, opening up the path of the level to go through in the process after, but you have to defeat them. And this happens a few times in Alan Wake, such as fighting Rusty at the Elderwood Visitor Center, a chainsaw taken, busting through the gate, and Danny in the cabin as you head towards Anderson's farm. So Gateway Boss introduces to you one or more bad guy who open up a new area of the level, but you have to get through them to access it. Combat area number 3 is Assaults. Assaults are very similar to Gateway Boss, except in Assaults you are constrained to a specific area, an arena, where you have to battle many enemies at once. You can't run away and you are forced to fight and defeat them all. After you win, a new path opens up. This happens a lot in Alan Wake, such as when going to the gas station through the woods and reaching the lumber mill, or when you are with Ben Mott in the woods or towards the end of the game when you are on your way to Cauldron Lake. Combat area number 4 is Survive and Thrive. Survive and Thrive are similar to assaults, but they are far more complex, more elaborate, and usually are timed assaults. Survive and Thrive only happens a few times in Alan Wake. During Survive and Thrive, you have to protect and defend yourself from constant attack from everywhere, and each Survive and Thrive combat area is usually kept within certain physical boundaries. In Alan Wake, these include at the fire station helicopter pad, and at the music stage. So Survive and Thrive are very fun combat scenarios. They take a little bit more time to set up because they're a little bit more intricate and a little bit more complex than any other combat scenario. But they're usually fun to play and they are seen as an event. Combat area number 5 are VIPs. VIPs are a very important person. And these are scenarios where you either protect or follow an AI character in the game. And in Alan Wake, these happen a lot, such as helping Ban Mutt with flares as he shoots the Taken in the Lover's Peak level, going through the town to the helicopter pad with Sheriff Sarah, and then meeting up with Barry to continue going up to the helicopter pad. And in this case, you have 2 AIs that you have to protect. And in Alan Wake, VIPs are usually fun because you get to interact with the characters. They get to usually tell a story instead of being alone as you are in most of the game. Combat scenario number 6 is Vehicle Manslaughter. In Alan Wake, Vehicle Manslaughter offers a break from on-foot combat by allowing you to drive a vehicle to your next destination, riding over any enemies on the way. This usually allows you to cover larger distances, and you don't really have to worry about fighting as you usually just drive through them, and it just kind of helps to break up the pace. So you can use these 6, Run and Gun, Gateway Boss, Assaults, Survive and Thrive, VIPs, and Vehicle Manslaughter to adopt them into your own level design, into your own game, and then design your combat scenarios, combat areas with those mechanics for each combat area in mind. Or you can create your own naming convention that you use to create consistency across your entire level and across your entire game. And again, if you enjoyed the tutorials and the courses that I've been putting out for more than a decade, then please consider supporting WoLD Level Design so I can continue doing this more and more by visiting and downloading any of the premium tutorials that I've released, or by making a donation. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.